Hello, everyone. This is Sunny. Thank you very much for joining our podcast. The Sunny Chung podcast is a pleasure for me to share with you the story from different from business broker, from commercial real estate and real estate professional in this channel. And I hope you can some value in this particular episode about business broker. And if you're looking to do evaluation for your business or interest in this business broker, feel free to reach out to Nick. I mentioned about Sunny Chung podcast for the free consultation. Thank you. Please enjoy the show. Welcome to the Sunny Chung podcast. Today, it's a privilege to have Nick on our show today. Nick is a entrepreneur, a founder of business Empire Business Broker. Signed since 1981, he started this business brokerage, and now have been grown to global network with over 85 offices across North America and internationally. So it is my privilege and honor to have Nick here on the show. And I would like Nick to share a little bit about himself instead of me trying to introduce you who Nick is. Nick, welcome to the show.
Sonny, thanks for inviting me. It's a privilege to be on your show. So I really appreciate it. I love speaking to your audience, and hopefully I can provide some insights about my industry and help put some money in their pocket and act as kind of an inspiration to them. Because I think once I get into my background, you'll see that with some hand-holding and education and so on, everybody in your audience can do the same thing that I've done. So they'll see that as I go through my background.
Well, thank you very much. Is there a small section that you can share with the audience a little bit about you, Nick? Where you come from, how did you start this business, and what led you to become a business broker?
That's a great question, Sonny. It's my privilege to talk about my background. You'll find as you work your way through this podcast, my entire life has been that of modesty. So I love to point out the fact that I was born into a family where my dad was a cement finisher on construction, cement mason, and in Buffalo, New York, my hometown, he would work 6 months approximately because of the weather, and then he'd be laid off for 6 months because of the winter weather. And so my mom was a full-time homemaker, so she didn't work at all. My dad provided all the income for my brother, sister, and myself. And so I come from modest background, but wonderful, wonderful parents. Had everything I ever wanted in life, that I didn't want for anything. They made sure I stayed on the straight and narrow. For example, I wanted to go to a public high school. They had put me into a Catholic elementary school, and then I went to a Catholic high school. So they made sure I had a good foundation educational wise. My dad was wise to the point where, when I was in college, I was a Division I level athlete in baseball. My batting average was 456 my senior year, which caused the major leagues to start coming after me to draft me. And I did not take them up on it, because in those days they weren't paying the kind of money for rookies to sign up to go to. And you start at A ball and then B ball and so on, try to make your way to the majors. But anyway, my dad was wise to the point where in my real start in business was in my junior year of college. Remember, the baseball thing was my senior year, but my junior year in college was really the start of my business background. And that's usually where I start my story. And here it is. In my junior year, I thought I was studying to be a school teacher. And like everybody else in those days, school teachers would take on summer employment in order to pay the summer bills when they didn't have the paycheck coming in from the schools, right? Well, I was always I wanted to think ahead all the time. So my junior year, I thought, well, when I become a school teacher, like everybody else, I need to have a summer job. And back in those days in Buffalo, New York, the teachers were taking summer employment at the steel mills, because we had Republic Steel and we had Bethlehem Steel, and they would employ 25,000 people. And of course, those 25,000 full-time employees took their summer vacations in the summertime. And so the steel plants would hire school teachers like me to work in the plant. Well, I knew I didn't want to do that. I mean, that just was not going to be for me. I don't want to be in the steel mills and the forge, the hot molten steel and sweeping floors and whatever they hired you to do. I knew I didn't want to do that. So my junior year in college, I said, what else can I do than the typical go out and work at the steel mills in the summertime to make money to pay the bills? So I came up with the idea that, related to my degrees, I have a business degree, business administration degree. I have a degree in recreation supervision, and I have a degree in physical education. So the physical education degree and the recreation degree and the business degree all related to starting a business. So what kind of a business did I decide to start as a junior in college? Remember, in junior in college, you're probably like 19 years of age.
Right.
I have no money to start a business. I'm a college kid. I'm broke like every other college kid. My father was a cement finisher on construction, working 6 months a year. I couldn't go to the family for money. So I started to think, how can I start a business and what kind of business can I start? So if you think about those 3 degrees that I have, I decided, and what a wonderful stroke of luck for me, I decided I would start a children's summer day camp operation where the children did not sleep overnight at camp. We took them to the camp in the morning. At the end of the day, we took them back home. It was a day camp. But I didn't have any money to start it with, and I didn't have any location to start it with. So again, stroke of luck, I started to think about locations. And there's a state park just outside of the city of Buffalo called Beaver Island State Park. And my sophomore year, I had worked at a summer recreation program at that park. So I knew the park director and so on because of that employment my sophomore year. So I went to him and said, look, his name was Ed. I said, Ed, the park is not used Monday through Friday during the week from 8 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon because everybody's working. They're not taking their kids to the park. They're all working. So would you be willing to cut a lease arrangement with me that I can set aside a little section of your park to run a children's summer day camp operation? And Ed really liked me. I liked him, and he went for it. So I got a chance to lease a section of a state park outside of Buffalo without paying any money until the first day of camp. So my enrollment period was enrolling children in camp was March, April, May, and June. So I was enrolling children in camp for those 4 months, bringing in money, and didn't have to spend any of that money until the first day of camp to pay for the lease of the campsite, to pay for my counselors' salaries, and to pay for the door-to-door transportation that I arranged. All innovative ideas that no one else in those days was doing. So we were the first to offer door-to-door transportation. We'd pick up your kids in these 15-passenger, they were Dodge minivans at the time, 15-passenger minivans. And I hired not just counselors, because in those days, and like today even, most of the counselors at summer camps are high school kids, college kids. But I got the bright idea to say, wait a minute, if I'm a parent and I want to send my kid to camp, wouldn't I prefer to send them to a camp that had certified school teachers as counselors? And my choice of counselors was right out there. The marketplace was mine. Those same teachers that didn't want to be working in the steel mills like I didn't want to do, which is the reason I started the camps in the first place. I figured I could hire a bunch of school teachers who would love to continue to work with kids and make enough money to pay the bills in the summertime. You're not going to get rich, but you're going to be enjoying working with the kids that you're doing in the regular school year and so on. So I gave my counselors one of my minivans, and on the way to camp, they'd pick up 14 kids. The driver's the 15th passenger. So 14 kids, transport them to camp. At the end of the day, transport them back home. And I enrolled 350 kids in camp that first year, my junior year in college. Sold out the camp, 350 kids all summer long. And that gave me enough money to lease the vehicles. And that was an easy deal too, by the way. I contacted the bus companies who would normally provide transportation for the school year. their vehicles, those 15 passenger vehicles, they were sitting on the lot, not making that bus company any money whatsoever. So I come along and I'm willing to pay you. Let's negotiate a lease of the vehicles, and I'll lease these vehicles, have adults driving them, teachers driving them, transporting our children to and from camp. And they went for it. And again, I didn't have to pay for those vehicles until the first day of camp. And I had those 4 months of enrollment money to pay for all my expenses. So anyway, first year, highly successful operation just by being innovative, thinking creatively. And that's what I want to convey to your audience. Be creative, whatever your profession is. I don't care if it's residential real estate, commercial, business brokerage, whatever profession you're in. I want you to think creatively. What can you do as a company that puts your offering ahead of your competitors? Nobody could touch me in the children's summer camp business. So by the time my junior year was over with, I'm sitting on a lot of money from profit from that operation. And my senior year, I start to franchise that company. That got me involved in the franchising industry. So my senior year, I start offering children's summer day camp franchises. From again, my junior year, just to give you the year time frames, my junior year was 1971. So by 1972, my senior year, I'm franchising that operation. And I did that for the next 9 years, from 72 to 81. I had, in that 9-year period, I sold 98 children's summer camp franchises all over the country and in Toronto, Canada. So I made a lot of money over those next 9 years after I had graduated from college. And in January of 81, I sold off those 98 children's summer camp franchises as a franchise system. I sold that off to a private equity group. And again, made a bunch of money from that sale. That allowed me to have the financial resources to do pretty much what I wanted to do. And so I sat around from January of 81 when I sold that company off until I read an article in Entrepreneur Magazine in, I believe it was June of 81, about the field of business brokerage. At that time, it was a relatively brand new industry. It started out in California, and the concept worked its way back east where I was in Buffalo, New York, my hometown. And so once I got wind of that article and the things that I read in the article, it really got me psyched up on the field of business brokerage. The two things I really liked about it was the brokers that were mentioned in that article were making a lot of money selling other people's businesses at 10 or 12% commissions. So if I was going to work again, I wanted to get that kind of commission rate and be able to make a lot of money from those sales. The other thing in the article that really got me all juiced up was one of the brokers that was mentioned owned an equity position, an ownership position in over 100 different businesses. The way they did it was they would go out and get listings. Some of those listings that appealed to them, they would go into their buyer database, and rather than just trying to sell that listing to that buyer, to any particular buyer, they offered a partnership. They said, look, I'm interested in this business that I have listed for sale, and I'm looking for a partner, and we need X amount of dollars cash to buy the business with. I'm willing to reinvest my commission back into the deal so you can come up with a lot less money to buy that business with. So instead of getting a cash commission, I took an equity position with the buyer of that business. And over the years, I've owned 45% of the fourth largest campground in the state of New York, 500 campsites, 7-acre lake, all kinds of goodies, year-round residence, camp store, the whole bit. I've owned 6 different restaurants. I've owned 3 nightclubs. I've owned a limousine company, all by reinvesting my commission back into the deal and then going to my database of buyers to see who wanted to become my partner in that deal. And they would have the cash injection into it that we needed over and above my commission into the deal. So in the campground, for example, just to give you one example, we needed $100,000 down, but my commission in the deal was going to be $45,000. So I said to the seller, I'll forgive my 45% ownership, 45% commission. That means that my partner, the cash injection person, needed to come up with $55,000 in cash to give to the seller. We don't need $100,000 to give to the seller because $45,000 of it would have been my commission. So
Wow.
that was
Okay.
another hidden benefit in getting into the field of business brokerage. And so just reading that article in Entrepreneur Magazine in June of 81 caused me to get involved in the field of business brokerage. So in December of 81 is when I formed my company, started Empire Business Brokers, and have grown that business to now in excess of 85 offices, not only coast to coast in the United States, but we're in 13 foreign markets as well. We're actually in places like Singapore and Johannesburg, South Africa, Madrid, Spain, Lisbon, Portugal, Republic of Panama in South America, Brazil. We're in Mexico City and Cancun, Vancouver, Canada. So we've been blessed to have 85 offices of our own with Empire Business Brokers. And earlier you mentioned how did I get involved with EXP? Because I was obviously a very successful business broker with offices internationally, but and I'm going to take you back to the 2014. In 2014, one of my Empire offices, person that joined me, his name is Earl Kemper. Earl is my partner in Empowered Business Brokers, which is my EXP firm. He had gotten wind of a company called EXP. I hadn't heard of EXP before that until he introduced it to me. But he became one of my Empire office owners in 2014. And so he came to me first when he found out about the EXP opportunity. He said, "Nick, I'd like to partner up with you and get involved with this EXP company. I think it's a dynamic company. It's an up and comer. I think they need help with some expertise in the field of business brokerage, because at the time they really didn't have a go-to business brokerage firm that had training materials and videos and training manuals and so on. And so we started. Earl and I began to talk, and we started speaking to most people on this call probably knows who James Young is. James at the time was the president of the commercial division of EXP. And so over the course of the next year, Earl, I, and James were on calls every week, trying to get us to join EXP and to mentor people that wanted to become business brokers. And so we ended up joining, and we've now been part of EXP for going on, I guess, about 2 years now, through Empowered Business Brokers. Earl and myself own that company separate from my Empire Business Brokerage operation. So that's kind of how I got in. It's a long-winded story about how I got involved with business brokerage as a field, how I got the chance to partner up with one of my office owners, Earl, in forming a company that would join EXP, and we're thrilled to death that we did. The EXP corporate headquarters and the EXP people themselves, the agents, residential and commercial and so on, have really responded to the field of business brokerage, and I think in a tremendous way. They see the opportunity. I mean, I kind of saw your look on your face when I started talking about getting 10 and 12% commissions on the sale of a business, when I know in commercial and residential, they're nowhere near 10 and 12% commissions. And so, I mean, we've sold businesses. Last week, I'll give you an example. We sold a business that was 4 locations, and our commission, not the selling price, our commission was $585,000, and that was given referral to us by a CPA, and we paid them 20% referral fee. That's what we pay everybody, 20% of the commission that we earned from their referrals. And in this case, the math was our commission was, like I said, $585,000 total commission. 20% of that, we sent them a check last week, $117,000 just for that referral. I'm pretty sure that CPA is going to give us more referrals in the future.
Absolutely. Like, you always want to keep that flow of business coming, and you take care someone else to keep you referred. So let me take you back on this. What you shared is great. I appreciate you share and very transparent how much you make and what you would do if someone could give you referred. Let's go back on when you started children camp, summer camp. Okay.
Yep.
How would that shape your entrepreneurial mindset that apply to your empire business broker?
What it taught me was um, to try to differentiate yourself from the pack, from everybody else. What can you do better than everybody else? And I can relate. I'll relate it in both ways, from the children's camps, what we did better, and all the way through business brokerage, what we currently and continue to do better than the pack. So let's start with the children's camps. Why did I sell out the entire camp? 350 kids in camp all summer long, my very first year. I mean, that's a near impossibility. The reason I was able to do it was because I was innovative. And I'm not patting myself on the back at all. Believe me, I'm just explaining why it was successful and answering your question. When I chose the campsite was right outside the city of Buffalo. It was a state park. The state park provided all of the maintenance people to make sure the grass was cut, the bathrooms were cleaned, there's toilet paper in the bathrooms and hand soap and so on. I didn't have that responsibility. That was all part of my lease. I hired certified school teachers as counselors. What parent would rather send their kid to a camp that had high school kids or college kids as counselors versus my camp with certified school teachers as counselors? What parent wouldn't love to have the ability, for no extra cost, to have door-to-door transportation? Their children were picked up anywhere in the metropolitan Buffalo area by my minivans and were transported to camp every morning and safely returned at the end of the day by virtue of those minivans, which were again, all certified vehicles. The bus company made sure that the inspections were all done up to snuff. So I didn't even have that responsibility. That was all part of my lease. They did the inspections, making sure that we're driving legal vehicles, and my drivers were duly licensed and so on. So, and my price point was, I mean, look, you can compete in the marketplace in a number of different ways, whether it's children's camps or business brokerage or real estate. I mean, you can compete on price. So I had a choice to compete on price in the children's camp arena, which would have meant competing with the private camps in the area. There was a company called not a company, but a school called Park School, high end. I mean, very, very high end private high school. That was Park School. Nichols School, another high end private school. They all had well-known, well-established for many years summer day camp operations that I was going to be in competition with. They were priced very high. I wasn't going to compete with that price point, nor could I. My other price point that I was competing with was the like the Goodwill type camps, where people that just couldn't afford to send their kids to camp, they had to look for the price point of being the very cheapest in the marketplace. So I didn't want to compete with that, because you're not going to make any money. You're going against nonprofit organizations that have outside funding to be able to keep tuitions down. So I can't compete with that. So I took the middle of the road price points, but I was justified in my price point because I was offering all those perks that I mentioned just a little while ago, the teachers, door-to-door transportation, etc., that no way could the nonprofit organizations compete with me. They couldn't charge enough to compete with me. And the established camps, the Park schools and the Nichols schools, my first year, they didn't even know I existed, because I wasn't in existence until I started the company in my junior year. So I kind of snuck up on them that first year. And once I had 350 kids in camp all summer long, it was too late for them to try to compete with me at that point. And they were well established in their marketplace. The people that were corporate executives, or the lawyers or the doctors, they were sending their kids to their high schools. They would also sign them up in their summer camps. So I wasn't going to steal many of those customers. That wasn't my customer base. I was the middle of the road, where, let's face it, the middle class in anything we're selling, that's the biggest buyer pool, or not buyer pool, but the market pool that you have is the middle class. That's who I was appealing to. I wasn't appealing to the poor folks or the very, very rich. I was the middle class. So I don't know what that is. 80, 85, 90% of the population was my marketplace. if I talk and I convert that mind concept to business brokerage, how did I become very successful in business brokerage? Again, I started the company when I read an article in Entrepreneur Magazine. It appealed to me, so I started the company. I started the company in December of '81, and not knowing any better, I hadn't had any training as a business broker at the time, so I did what everybody else did in business brokerage. I was one of the first ones that started business brokerage on the East Coast, because remember earlier I said that article I read was about the field of business brokerage in Entrepreneur Magazine, but that concept started out west, California, and worked its way back east where I was. So by the time it worked its way back to me, I was one of the few business brokers on the East Coast at the time, which was a stroke of luck for me. But after starting my company in '81 and I doing it for a couple of years, I took a step back. I was making great money. I had I think at the time I had 11 agents working in my office, just doing business brokerage. We didn't sell any houses. We didn't sell warehouses or lease warehouse space or rent storefronts. None of that stuff. Business brokerage, the sale of existing businesses. Okay, the small businesses at that, the dry cleaning plants, the pizzerias, the restaurants, the florist shops, you name it. Small businesses. But a couple of years into doing that, I took a step back and I took a look at my operations, and I started thinking about what I did with the children's camps. How do I set myself apart? If I'm just listing and selling local businesses like every other business broker on the planet, there's no competitive advantage there. I mean, I'd have to sell myself that I'm better than the others. I'm better educated, whatever. I care about you and your business more, whatever. But that, then everybody's going to try to do that.
Right.
So I had to differentiate myself. So what did I do? I thought to myself, okay, here's our operation. We deal with three types of people. Business owners, because we prospect to get listings. So we're speaking to all kinds of business owners. They're not sellers yet, but some of them list their businesses for sale as you prospect. So they become business sellers. That's the second type of person we deal with. And then thirdly, we deal with buyers looking for buying opportunities to get into their own business. So I thought, okay, what are the services that those three types of people need? Whether they need it immediately now or in the near future as they're looking to find a business to buy or look to get their business sold, or what are they going to do with the rest of their life once their business is sold? So here's what I came up with. Again, trying to be an innovator, set myself apart. Back in those days, and even for the most part today, even business brokers basically do one thing. They list and they sell local existing businesses. So I came up with the idea. I said to myself, gosh, I came from the children's summer camp franchising industry. So the franchising industry came to mind. So I said to myself, I wonder, of all the franchises that are out there, there's 5,000, 6,000 different franchise systems, different industries. I wonder if any of them would ever be willing to work with a business broker to speak to our buyers about buying a new unit, a new franchise from them as part of their franchise. The 7-Elevens of the world, the Great Clips, the Handyman Connections of the world. And again, back then, not a business broker on this planet was working with the franchisors of this country, trying to help them find buyers for their new stores, their new units. So I started making some calls. And remember, at that time, I was only a couple of years into business brokerage. I only had one market I could deliver to those franchisors, my hometown of Buffalo, New York, out of my office. I didn't have 85 offices all over the country. Today, I don't call franchisors anymore. They call me. They want to be part of my inventory that I can offer their franchises to the masses through all my offices. So I don't even have to prospect to get those anymore. They come to me. So anyway, that's the first thing that I added. A franchise here, a franchise there, another one. So today, fast forward, I have under contract right around 300 franchisors that have come to me that sign contracts, and they pay my people 50% of their franchise fees when one of our prospects buy a franchise from them. So that was my second profit center, if you will. Business sales of existing businesses, and now franchise sales of new units. Okay, so again, the wheels are turning. How do I differentiate myself? If you're selling businesses, existing businesses, if you're selling franchises, financing comes into play. To make the deal happen, you got to have money to have the financing for the buyer to buy the business with. So I started collecting as many commercial loan sources as I possibly could. And it has never stopped. From the day I came up with that idea to this day, we added every year, every month, we've added commercial loan sources. Today, I have a proprietary database, I own it, of approximately 3,200 lending sources that I can go to. And depending on the kind of loan that my prospect is looking for, I can go to that database and I can find the companies that are doing that kind of a loan, and in the part of the country where the purchase is being made. So if I've got a borrower in California and they need restaurant financing, I know where to go to for restaurant financing for that buyer, or a franchise buyer. I know where to go where the funding is. There is a lot of specialists that will lend in the franchise space. If you're buying a franchise, here's the lenders you go to. You can go to other sources as well, other commercial banks, but why not go to the specialists? They lend on franchise purchases. So commercial loans became our third profit center. And now we charge points, 2, 3, 4 points to the borrower, but no upfront money. You don't pay us anything up front. Hire us to go find a loan for you. We'll quote you, let's say it's 3 points. If we quote you 3 points, you'll sign a 2-page plain English contract with us, promising to pay us those 3 points only if you accept a loan that we get for you. So if we get you a loan offer and you don't accept it, you still don't owe us anything. But if you accept the loan, you pay us those 3 points. And it's a non-exclusive contract. You can go get a loan any place else you want, and if you do, you don't owe us a dime. And I do that because of my 3,200 lending sources in that database. I know darn well if a deal is fundable, if it's fundable at all, my company is going to find you that loan long before any other loan broker or any other individual bank ever gets you that money. I'll get it first because I have multiple sources to go to, and I can act quickly with that database. I don't need an exclusive contract. I just need a contract, non-exclusive, guaranteeing that I'm going to get paid my fee once I get you the money. So that was another differentiator in business brokerage, commercial loans. That helps to put to bed deals that no other broker could put to bed because they don't have the lending sources we have. So why would you list your business, Sonny, why would you list your business with ABC Business Brokers instead of my company? They don't have anywhere near the lending sources that I have. And right now, you don't know who the buyer might be and what their financial needs are going to be. So why not have my lending sources as part of your team listed with me? So that's the third, what I call profit center or business service. Then we went quickly into franchise development work. So remember, we deal with 3 types of people, right? And the first part was business owners, then business sellers, and then business buyers. Well, what about business owners? When we business brokers are prospecting to get listings with those business owners, in most cases, your prospecting efforts are falling on deaf ears. They're not looking to sell their business right now. Sometime in the future, yes, but not right now. So while I've got them on the phone, we engage them in a conversation if they'll allow us to. When we ask, like part of my opening pitch when I make the cold call, for example, is I get the owner on the phone and I'll say, hello, Ed. My name is Nick Liuzza. I'm with Empire Business Brokers. The reason for my call today is I was wondering whether or not you've given any consideration to selling your business either now or in the near future. Well, if it's a no, if it's a maybe or a yes, I want to make an appointment, come over and talk to them. So I carry on the conversation about selling their business. But if it's a no, I'm not looking to sell right now, and I engage them in conversation, and they say something like this to me: Nick, I'm not looking to sell now. Give me a call back in 10 years when I'm closer to retirement age. Well, and I'll make a note of that, of course. But we'll engage in more conversation. And during that conversation, they say, in fact, I'm not looking to sell. I'd rather buy. If you find listings that are in my field, in my type of business, another Italian restaurant across town, another Italian restaurant in the next town over. Give me a call. I'm really a buyer, not a seller. So as soon as I hear that, what pops into my brain? Commercial loans. If they're going to open up another location, I don't care if you're starting it from scratch. And if you're going to buy an existing business, I can provide financing for you to buy that business. If you're starting one from scratch, you're going to lease a space and incur a lot of expenses for leasehold improvements. Inventory. You need financing for leasehold improvements. You need financing for inventory. You need financing to put shelves up or put a new facade on the place, put your signage up. So now I might be able to create a commercial loan for them, and I earn those 2, 3, or 4 points that I quoted to them at the beginning of the conversation. The other thing that pops into my brain is when they say I'm really a buyer, I want to expand to another location or a second or a third location. I ask them, have you ever thought about franchising your company? That's called franchise development. My company can do 2 things for you that, to my knowledge, no other company in the United States can do. If you want to franchise your company, you need 2 things from someone. The first thing you need is you need to do all the legal work. It's called an FDD, the franchise disclosure document, FDD document. That helps you comply with the Federal Trade Commission so you can legally sell franchises. There are also 15 registration states. Even if you have your FDD document done that complies with the Federal Trade Commission, there's 15 states that have state requirements to register your franchise before you can sell any franchises in those 15 states. So I affectionately call all of that the 20 pounds of paperwork. It's the 20 pounds of legal work that you need to have done before you can sell one single franchise in the United States. I can do all that in-house for the client. And our price cannot be beat by anybody else out there because of this. The second thing we can do for them is not just do the 20 pounds of legal work so they can legally sell franchises, and they welcome this. They can turn over their franchise sales to us, to all of my offices. We'll spend our money generating leads for franchise buyers who will then meet face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball with a real person, a real empire or empowered business broker person. And now my offices and us in the main office, we can earn more money than just what we charge them to do the paperwork. We'll sell a lot of franchises for them. So there's a lot more money, a lot more pie to dig into as we sell their franchises. That's why we keep our front money very low. No one else can touch us. All the other companies out there, and there's plenty of them that can do the FDD document, the legal work, and they all charge more than me. But not one of them can help you with the marketing. They don't have offices across the country like we do. So another feather in our cap, it differentiates us from everybody else out there. The beauty of our system with empowered business brokers and frankly Empire is that we have a very, very generous referral fee system. I mentioned it earlier on that one example I gave where the CPA earned $117,000 referral fee on that $585,000 commission we earned from their referral. They don't have to be an expert at being a business broker. They don't have to be an expert at being a franchise salesperson or a commercial loan expert. They don't have to be an expert at franchise development work. They need a partner who has all that expertise. That's us. So we just need the referral from you. We're happy to pay. I in my training sessions, I often say, my fondest wish in life would be to sit at my desk every day and be writing referral checks to people. Because obviously, if we're giving out 20%, we keep 80%. We obviously, our agents make money. The buy side and the sell side agents, they get a piece of that 80%. But there's a healthy piece that's left over for us corporately as well. So everybody's on the same team, and we're all making money. And our referring sources don't have to be experts at any one of those fields. They just have to know enough about the fact that they have a partner, us, that they can go to when they're speaking to prospects that have a need for any of these services, and turn over the prospect to us. We'll give them a call, explain what we can do for them. If they want to move forward, they sign an agreement with us, and we sign them up. and earn money from that referral. And that referring source is happy because they get their 20% of that. The referred company to us is happy because they got what they paid for and then some. We always deliver, I believe, we deliver more than what we promised. And so everybody benefits. And what does that do for us as a business brokerage company and our referring source? The Sonnies of the world that referred something to us. What does that do for you guys? That source that you referred to us becomes your client forever. Anytime that client comes back to us and wants another loan, or they want to franchise another company, or whatever it might be, they want to now sell their company. That's your lead. You're still going to get 20%. Whenever we make a dime from them, you'll get 20% of that dime in the future as well. And what does that do for us? Let's take a company that, let's take Sonny. Sonny's a business broker. He's very busy doing a lot of other things. So he gives us a lead in business brokerage, and they don't want to sell their business right now. They need a commercial loan. They want to expand their company. And we do it. You turn it over to us. We find the money for them. Didn't you and I now start a relationship with that person because we found them a commercial loan that they really drastically needed to help expand their current company? Well, they're now happy with us. 2 more years go by. 3 more years go by. Now they're ready to sell. Who do you think they might come to? They're going to come right back to Sonny and/or Empire or Empowered Business Brokers to sell their business because they had such a great experience with us 2 or 3 years earlier. So they're building blocks. We're building relationships. They'll always come back to you if you are always upfront, honest with them, and you do a great job for them in whatever area that they initially need you for. But the big one, obviously, is the business sales, and we want them coming back to us for that business sale because that's 10 or 12% of a very large pie. $1 million sale, $1.5 million, $5 million. Biggest business I've ever sold is a $292 million business down in Florida. And that was referred to me by one of my office owners who was fully trained to be a business broker, but wasn't comfortable with that level, that high of a business listing. They were used to doing mom and pop, restaurants and floor shops, etc., convenience stores, and they weren't ready for a $293 million sale. So they enlisted our efforts, and they got their 20% referral fee from us.
I think that's a very good how you structure a way that help everybody win. There's a few questions I want you to clarify for me and help me understand this. Everybody want to be entrepreneurs. They want to open a business. What kind of guideline do you have for someone actually want to get into buying business, and how can you help them, guide them to operate a successful business, right?
Yeah.
As we move to the next generation, a lot of successful business owners is baby boomer. Baby boomer have so many businesses out there right now, and this generation, not a lot of people want to take over the business. So there's untapped business broker on this. And here's my second question is, how can people get into a business brokerage business from an agent standpoint?
It's a kind of a multi-faceted question. So I'll do the best of taking each facet and attack it. For example, with my company, there's a television commercial out there, and I think it's an insurance company, and their tagline is an educated consumer is our best customer. And I forget which company it was, but it's an ad that's all over the country. And so I took that to heart, and I said, okay, we want to have educated buyers. We want to have educated sellers. So we put together a 27-point buyer education program. About 75% of buyers out there are first-time buyers. They've never bought a business before, never owned a business before. So they need an education about the buying process, about how to investigate an opportunity, what to look for. Do I have enough money to be able to buy a business with? What's my expertise? What's my interest levels? So we have interview sheets that we interview our buyers, so we can make the right fit for them with the highest probability of success for them, because we want them to buy a business and be successful. Why? I know, and I don't think most business brokers are willing to admit this, but most business brokers look at the sale of a business to someone as a one-time thing. You're going to make a big commission, 50 grand, 60 grand, 80 grand, whatever, 100 grand, one time. Not true. Not true at all. This is a repeat business. I want my buyers and sellers to be happy with me because each of them, buyers and sellers of those businesses, can make referrals to me of their friends, their relatives, their neighbors, their fellow country club folks that they go golfing with. I want them to be happy because when they are asked, how did you get out of your business? You're retired now. How did you get out of your business? Oh, I use this Nick character over at Empire or Empowered Business Brokers, and he did a great job, blah, blah, and they rave about you. Well, I want people to make referrals to me that are going to rave about me because the probability of me getting that listing when I've been referred to them by a trusted friend or relative is pretty high. I mean, I'd have to be pretty bad at selling or have a really bad personality clash with that person not to get that listing. I mean, they're referred to me by their CPA firm, their best friend, their next door neighbor, their lawyer, etc. I'm going to get the listing. So we have the buyer education program. With sellers, if a business, whether or not it's ready to sell right now or not, we do an interview. You may know my partner in Empowered Business Brokers, Earl Kemper. He was named the number one business coach in the entire country 3 consecutive years, and so we incorporated his business coaching into Empowered Business Brokerage. So if we come across, when you come across people that want to sell their business, and then we interview them, and really their business is marginal. It's not really ready to sell right now. They have a choice. They can try to build it up over the next year or two on their own, and then come back to us and we'll accept the listing, because we don't just take any listing. It's got to be worth taking the listing. It has to be saleable. In our opinion, it has to be saleable. Or the other alternative is they can sign up through our company for business coaching services. So we have Earl heading that division for us, but he's not our only coach. So you can have Earl as your coach for one price level, or you can go down with a little more inexperienced people, but still professionals. We wouldn't hire anybody if they weren't going to represent our firm properly. So, but it's not going to be at the highest rate. Like Earl's definitely would be at the highest rate. So we have business coaching for those listings that come our way that really aren't quite ready right now to go to market. Let's build you up over the next 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, year and a half, and then let's turn around and sell it. Earl likes to tell a story, and I'll try to be brief on this one, but it'll really show you the power of coaching. Earl had a client, came to him and wanted to sell his business. Earl interviewed the client. He was a dentist, and this is only going back a couple years now. So after having interviewed the dentist, the dentist determined that, you know what, I'm not really wanting to sell anymore. I want to take your advice, and I want to enter into your coaching realm, your coaching division, I guess I'll call it. And let's see what we can do. And what we can do was, Earl had built into his presentation that he really felt like he could increase his business by 50% over the next year, just doing 1 year worth of coaching. Over the second year, I can go to another level. And over the course of a 4-year period of time, this guy's revenue went up 6 times earnings, 6 times over this 4-year period of time. And over those same 4 years, the dentist acquired 4 other practices under the recommendation and the tutelage of Earl in his coaching. So now, 4 years into the relationship, Earl has been earning fees for his coaching for 4 years. Well deserved. Obviously the client was happy because he kept staying with Earl for coaching. Now the guy comes to Earl and says, I'm looking to sell. Earl says, okay, I can help you with that. I'm part of at that time, he was part of the Empire Business Brokers Network. I mentioned to you, he joined us in 2014 as one of my satellite offices. went through my training program and so on. That's how he learned to be a business broker. So he lists it for sale. He sells it. And here's the real numbers. He sold it for $42 million. 4 years earlier, the dentist wanted to know what his one practice was worth. And it was like $1.5 million, $1.75 million, something like that. 4 years later, after acquiring 4 more practices, he sells it for $42 million. Earl gets a commission of $1.8 million in one deal, of which he gave the CPA that gave him that referral 20% of it. But still, Earl walked away with what? I don't know, 1.3 million, something like that, in one commission check. That's this field. And anybody that listens to these stories, you can do this. You need training. You need hand-holding. You need someone to go to ask questions and get answers. I think Earl and I and Empowered Business Brokers or Empire Business Brokers, we're your go-to company. And we have different ways, different levels of being involved with us. You can actually own your own office. You can actually enter into a mentoring program where there's not an upfront fee. You'll earn less of your commissions. You're like 50% of the commissions will come to us from your deals, but that's with no investment to join. Empire Business Brokers, my firm, we charge $24,900, and if somebody needs financing on that, we'll do financing on that. And then you own 100% of your own office. We don't even take any part of your commissions, not a dime of your commissions, because we rely on you to make referrals to us from all of our other services. So you go ahead and sell their business. You keep all the commission, 100% of the commission. But when somebody comes to you and says, I want to franchise my company, I need franchise development work, send them to us. I need a commercial loan, send them to us. We'll go get the loan for them. I need what? I need a business plan done. I need a fractional CFO services. Send them to us. I need business coaching. Send them to us. So we'll make money with you, and we do commission splits. When you send us those referrals, you're still going to get 20% of all the business that we earned from your referral. We just don't take any part of your business sales. So all that says to you is you concentrate on being a business broker every day, and you'll earn those commission checks, and it'll all be yours. But during the course of your business brokerage practice, you will run into people that have other needs that I just described. Send those referrals to us. And I'll tell you how confident we are. In our contract with people, it isn't even in writing that it's a requirement of you to send us those leads. If you want to keep those leads yourself and work them, God bless you. You'll certainly not do as good a job as we would had you given them those leads to us. But if you really think you can get a commercial loan for somebody and you can charge them 2 or 3 points, it's not going to happen. You don't have our database. You don't have access to our database, even though you're one of our offices. Obviously, we can't give access to the database, or everybody will be using the database and not sending us those leads. We expect people to treat us fairly, just like we're treating them. Just be honest with us. If you're going to send us the leads, send us the leads. If you're going to work on those leads yourself, let us know you're doing it. And at some point, we'll keep our eye on you and see if you have a future need for our services because you overestimated your own capabilities to find that personal loan or commercial loan. And then now you really do need us because now you're in a real pickle because your client's beating you over the head. Hey, I need that loan. I needed it yesterday. What are you doing? Did you find that loan for me? No, I didn't do it. Let me call the main office and see what I can do there. Well, why didn't you do that in the beginning? So all of a sudden you're taking heat. So anyway, we get really good people that come with us, and they are in general they're totally honest with us and us with them.
I think what you have accomplished over the year and build that relationship from lender, from everything that you have as a business broker, is very essential for someone looking to buy, sell businesses, right? So you very focus on your lane. I want to change the gear a little bit.
Okay.
With all your success and what you try to do, there got to be some failure along the line, right? And in the perfect world, you success all the time. But the thing is, I want to ask, and we could share with the audience publicly, can you share a specific situation that didn't go your way and how that shaped you to become who you are today?
Yeah. The very first thing that comes to mind is, it's funny that this comes to mind. I haven't thought of this in a long time. I mentioned that, one of the things we added after my first couple of years of being a business broker was franchise sales. We added now up to 300 franchises that we represent. But a few years back, I get a phone call in my office. I had signed up a franchise to represent, and one of my offices in Savannah, Georgia, found a potential buyer for that franchise. And so he calls this franchisor up, my office owner in Savannah, calls them up and says, I've got a potential buyer that I want to refer over to you and put them on my referral list. So they do that. So a few more months go by, and the franchisor was working with this buyer that was referred to them by one of my offices. A few months go by, and the franchisor calls my broker in Savannah and says, what was his first name? Bob, I think his name. First name was Bob. Came to me. He was a mall manager when he came to me. He was licensed in real estate. He managed a big mall down in Georgia. Anyway, got into business brokers with me. So he gets a phone call from the franchisor, and I'm going to mention their name because I promised them every chance I got, I'm going to mention your name and I'm going to tell the real story. It's a company called Foliage Design. Foliage Design franchise director calls my guy, Bob, and says, hey, Bob, that prospect you gave us, they bought a franchise from us. We owe you some money, but I want you to do me a favor. I'm going to put a check in the mail to you for your 70% of the commission. See, with Empire, the way our commission works is, with Empire Business Brokers, the way it works is, the company that sells one of our franchises, when that franchisor pays us that referral fee, the company the Empire office that sold it gets 70% of that commission. So that's what my office in Savannah was due, 70%, because they created the sale. The other 30% that's left, 20% of it goes to the Empire office that brought the franchise into our system in the first place. So they looked at our list of franchises that we represent, and they see that I don't know who, Turkey Hill convenience stores, they're not on our list. So they make a phone call. My office owner gets on the phone with the franchise director from Turkey Hill and says, hey, why aren't you using business brokers? Why aren't you using Empire to bring you leads to create sales for you? And the guy says, well, yeah, we'd love to do that. Who do I talk to? And my office owner says, well, Mr. Turkey Hill guy, go call Empire or Empowered Business Brokers in Buffalo, New York. Here's the number. Here's the guy's name to talk to. And then we sell them. We sign them up. That entitles that office owner, Empire office owner or Empowered Business Broker, that entitles them to 20% of that commission every time one is sold in the future, even though they had nothing to do with the sale. They just brought Turkey Hill into the mix. So now we've got 70% of the commission going to the office that sold it, my Savannah guy. 20% goes to maybe my guy in Connecticut, Stamford, Connecticut, because he brought him aboard. And then 10%, the last 10%, goes to us corporately. So there's something in it for all of us. We're corporate headquarters. We put the whole program together. My guy in Stamford, Connecticut, brought Turkey Hill into the mix, and my guy in Savannah, Georgia, sold it. They get 70%. So here's what happened. They say to my guy in Savannah, Foliage Design franchisor, says to him, we know how the split works with Empire, and I know you're entitled to 70% of the commission. We're going to send you a check directly, but we don't want you to tell Empire that we sold one of your franchise. We sold a franchise to one of your prospects. So of course, my guy in Savannah, he's on my team. He's not on their team, and all he cares about is being loyal to us and getting his check for 70%. So he says to them, he plays along with them. And he says, yeah, we can do that. Send me my 70%. I won't tell anybody that one of my guys bought a franchise. So hang up the phone. My guy calls me immediately and says, Nick, you won't even believe what just happened. I said, what? Tell me, Bob. And he tells me the whole story. That's how I know the story, because Bob told me. So I say to Bob, when your check comes in and it clears the bank, let me know. When you're sure that commission check from them cleared the bank. And he did that. I get on the phone with the franchise director and I say to them, you know what? You screwed us out of a commission, and you know you did. And Bob is loyal to me. And he told me the whole story. and I'm happy that his check cleared. But I want you to know, we will never, I'll do two things. One is we will never sell another one of your franchises ever. You just cut your own throat. So I cut them loose. No more representing Foliage Design. And the second thing I promised the franchise director is I will badmouth you every chance I get and tell this whole story to people. And that's what I'm doing right now. So anyway, you asked me what a bad thing that happened. That was the first thing that came to mind. And to be honest, I think that's the only one, at least that I found out about, that ever tried to screw us out of a commission that we duly earned. We work hard for our commissions and we earn it. And for him to do that, to save what, 30%, the 10% to me and 20% to the other broker that brought him aboard and so on. In that case, by the way, we brought him aboard, so we were entitled to 20%, and we were the corporate headquarters, so we got the other 10%. So the 30% that we got screwed out of was all corporate money. It wasn't one of our offices that got screwed out of any money. But that's the first thing that came to mind. What else would I? Oh, I know. I'll try to make this fast, guy. I think we're probably running close to on your time. I have plenty of time. But,
well, I thank you for sharing that. But my follow-up question is how that incident that helps shape your self improvement, and based on that, I mean, I know that it's a cutthroat business in your industry sometimes, right? And then something that incident happened to you.
Yeah.
How do you shape your mind to improve yourself to stay ahead with the industry?
No, I know my industry inside out, and remember what I'm going to call my humble beginnings. Dad's a cement finisher. We had no money. High school and college, we had no money until I successfully started the children's camps. We had no money, so I just trained myself. Number one, just don't stress over anything, and there's. In the course of doing all these deals over 43 years of being a business broker, and then add 10 more years with the children's camp, and I've been involved in the franchising industry for 53 years. I'll bet you most people that are going to be on these calls listening to this recording probably aren't even 53 years of age yet. But anyway, I'm still as energetic about my field as I was the day I started it. And you'd hear that from people if you spoke to them about Nick Liuzza. How is that guy? Is he old, gray, and ready for a wheelchair, or is he still energetic about this industry? And it's the latter. I am thrilled about this industry. But anyway, so I've trained myself to know that there are great people out there, and the vast majority of people are the great people. But there's always those what I call the snakes in the grass. Forgive me for anybody who loves snakes, but there's snakes in the grass who you got to watch out for at every turn. So I've just trained myself to say, I know that there's snakes in the grass. You can't identify every one of them, and move on. If you get screwed out of a deal or a commission or whatever, move on. Find out why you got screwed out of a commission or how you got hurt in a deal, and try to not make the same mistake a second time yourself. Put safeguards in place. My contracts, my listing contracts, the purchase offer contracts, things like that, they've evolved over the years. If something happened to one of my offices and they report it back to me, I'll make a change in our contracts that everybody uses so that it doesn't happen to anybody else again. I can tell you, after doing it for 43 years, there's no flaws in our contracts anymore. Everything's been flushed out of these things, so we don't get screwed. But anyway, I've just trained myself to know occasionally something's going to happen, and you don't collect all your commission or even any of your commission in a deal. But we know things now. Like there are some states, we know the states. There are some states you can put a lien against the commission before the closing even happens. So you can't sell your business to somebody without the broker getting paid. You can't screw them out of any part of your commission in those states. But this is 43 years of education later. I know those states now. I know the ropes, which is why, frankly, people pay us $24,900 to join because they don't have to go spend 43 years of learning themselves. In my training classes, I often say, my job in these 5 days of training you is to shorten your learning curve from 43 years, my 43 years, into a 5-day period of time. I'm going to train you over five days to be a professional business broker. And then thereafter, I'm going to mentor you forever. As long as you stay part of the Empire or Empowered Network, I'm going to mentor you forever. So when you have a bump in the road, you've got a deal that's going south on you or sideways, call us on the phone. I'll help you through a deal. I mean, I've gotten deals for people that have been with me for just under a year, and it was $50 million was one. I think the other one was $65 million deals. It's their first year in business brokerage, and in both cases, those sellers sat down with my office owner, and in both cases, neither one of them wanted to give this person the listing, and the reason was, we're happy with the fact that you're part of this big network of business brokers. We like that, but you yourself have been doing this less than a year, and I don't want to entrust my listing with you, who have less than a year's worth of experience. So in both cases, my owners did not get the listings. So in both cases, they gave me a call in the main office and they told me the story. And I said to both of them, can you get that owner on the phone, schedule a call with them, and let them know that you're going to have the CEO of your company with 40 some odd years of experience on that call. And in both cases, they did that. And in both cases, I gave my spiel about who I am, all the accolades, my designations, professional designations, the deals I've been involved in, and I guaranteed those two sellers. I understand, I know you know that my office owner that you dealt with has been through our extensive training program at our corporate headquarters in New York, Buffalo, New York. And I understand the reason you didn't give them the listing, because they have less than a year of experience personally. But I guarantee you right now on this call that I will be on the phone with them. I'll be in person if they need me in person. I will ride gunshot over your deal, and I'll be with them every step of the way. So you're not just getting a one-year broker or a 6-month-year-old broker. You've got a guy that has 43 years standing behind my office owner, and we'll get it sold for you. If it's going to be sold, we'll get it sold for you. And I'll be there every step of the way supporting my people. So, and in both cases, we got the listings, and in both cases, they were sold.
I think that's good to for you to actually mentor, train, make sure your team members do well and take care of the client at the same time. I appreciate this, and they usually we get closer to the end of the show, and usually I have a closing question that I ask all the guests about you, right? So I would say I've been changing the question, but it's similar to what I want to share with the audience, and my goal is with the podcast is to share to help people improve themselves. It doesn't matter what they do, and business broker, real estate agent, or entrepreneur journey. It's a hard journey to walk on. So I would say this is the 3 truths. Okay, what if today is the last day on this planet? Okay, and all your accomplishment and all your knowledge you can take with you. There is nothing on this planet about you anymore. Okay, it's go with you, it's rest with you, everything you have. However, you able to leave 3 truths to the next generation to share with the people in your industry, your close friend, your colleague, and business owner. What would that 3 things would be?
This is going to oversimplify it probably, and I'll expand on it to be more serious. But integrity would be all 3 things. If you don't have integrity, you have nothing. All we have, I believe, is to sell is our integrity. And even in my training programs, when I'm dealing with first-time business brokers, I'm training them to be a business broker. I tell them flat out, I hope that you've joined our firm and you have the right attitude. I want you to be in this industry for the long haul, for a long period of time. I do not want you to be like some business brokers out there. No one in my chain that I'm aware of, no way, or they'd be jettisoned. I don't want you to be like some business brokers who will lie, cheat, and steal to get a commission check. Don't lie to somebody about there's all kinds of hidden money. Here's the tax returns, and the guy's making $80,000 a year. But hey, by the way, and you little elbow in in the rib to the buyer. He's hiding another $50,000. Don't do it, because you develop a bad reputation. Your integrity goes right in the toilet, and you'll be in and out of business inside of a year, because I don't care what size metropolitan area you live in or you practice in, the word will get out. I don't care if you're in New York City with billions of people or little old Buffalo, New York with under 1 million people. Your reputation will be there. I once heard, and this is something for your audience, I once heard, and I hope I get this right, I once heard a quote from someone, they were comparing integrity and was it character? I think it was character. Character, and I integrity obviously is something that you do. You practice every day. You're open. You're honest with everybody. That's integrity. But character, they describe character as it's what you do, what you and I do when no one else is watching, no one else can see. So character comes into play. You're gonna, if I'm supposed to write that commission check to somebody for a referral, I'm writing that check, even though they don't even know a deal happened. That's mailbox money. I mail the check, and there it is. It's in their mailbox, and they never knew it was coming. That's character. That's integrity too, but that's character, because nobody knew. No one would ever know that you lied, cheated, and stole. Excuse me, stealed. So I guess that's the way I'll answer your question. Just be open and honest with people. Be one of the good people in this world. There's enough. I always say to people, there's enough money to be made in commercial real estate, residential, and business brokerage. You don't have to be one of those snakes in the grass, lying, cheating, and stealing to make a great living. And it's a blessing for us to be in business. It's a blessing to be in business. You make your own hours and so on. Some people get into business because they don't want to have a boss. The one point I will make is, when you start your own business, you are your own boss, but you have plenty of bosses. All of your customers are your bosses.
Right. Well, Nick, thank you. That's a great closing statement that what you share about character and integrity. Without those, you don't have a very stable business, right? Because you are your brand. I appreciate being on this podcast, and I want the community to support you. So how can we give back, and how can we support you, and how do they find you, and how can they get hold of you? We can connect after this, but like on this show, I just want to air it out. And how would they get hold of you and find you on LinkedIn, or what's your recommendation?
Certainly LinkedIn. You'll see all kinds of recommendations and all kinds of stuff. I think I got 37,000 connections on LinkedIn, and unsolicited recommendations, by the way. I've never once asked for somebody to give me a recommendation. They come in unsolicited. But anyway, I'll give you my personal email address. Not my I'll give you both. My business one is nick@empirebb.com. My personal one is nickgug1@gmail.com. So that's the way to get hold of me on the internet. My cell phone number is, and I don't mind giving that out. I give it out to everybody. I get some crazy calls sometimes, but cell phone.
So if you need to get hold of Nick, just DM us, comment below, and I'll connect you with Nick, and we all can make money together. How about that?
Well, sounds good. Perfect. That's perfect.
Thank you very much on the show, Nick. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for the invite, Sonny. I really enjoyed it. It was fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.